My dad texted me at 2 a.m. Grab your sister and run. Don't trust your mother. So I did. I stared at my phone screen in the darkness of my bedroom, reading the message 3 times before it actually sank in. My dad was supposed to be on a business trip in Denver until Friday. It was Tuesday night, and he was texting me to run from my own mother. I'm Alex. I'm 17, and my family has always been completely normal. Dad sells insurance. Mom works as a loan officer at the downtown bank. My little sister Katie is in 8th grade. We eat dinner together most nights, go to church on Sundays, watch movies on weekends. Nothing dramatic ever happens in our house. But my hands were shaking as I crept down the hallway to Katie's room. Something about Dad's message felt urgent and terrifyingly real in a way that made my stomach twist into knots. I shook her awake gently and whispered that we needed to leave the house immediately. Katie started to argue and ask questions, but I showed her Dad's text message. She looked confused and scared, but didn't question me further. We grabbed jackets and shoes from the hall closet and snuck out through the back door, while Mom was asleep upstairs in her bedroom. We walked 6 blocks to the 24-hour diner on Main Street and sat in a corner booth, both of us staring at my phone screen. I tried calling Dad multiple times, but every call went straight to voicemail. I tried texting him back asking what was happening, but the messages showed as undelivered. Katie asked what we were supposed to do now, and I honestly had no idea what to tell her. We sat there for almost 3 hours drinking coffee and hot chocolate, waiting for some kind of explanation that never came. Around 5 in the morning, I decided we needed to go home. Whatever Dad was worried about, we couldn't just live at a diner indefinitely. We walked back through the quiet neighborhood to find Mom's silver Honda completely gone from our driveway. The front door was standing wide open, swinging slightly in the cold morning breeze. All the lights in the house were blazing, which was extremely weird because Mom always turned everything off before bed to save money on the electric bill. We went inside cautiously, calling for Mom. No answer from anywhere in the house. Her purse was sitting on the kitchen counter exactly where she always left it, but her phone was missing. There were coffee grounds spilled across the granite counter and the coffee maker was still on and brewing, like she'd been interrupted while making her usual morning cup. Katie noticed something important that I'd completely missed. The back door was also standing open, and there were muddy footprints tracked across the kitchen floor that definitely didn't match any of our shoes. Big heavy boots, like work boots or hiking boots. I tried calling Mom's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail just like Dad's had. That's when I noticed her work laptop was missing from her usual spot on the dining room table. Her bank files were scattered across the floor like someone had been searching through them frantically. Katie found even more disturbing signs when we checked upstairs. Mom's bedroom looked like it had been searched by someone in a hurry. Dresser drawers pulled out, closet clothes pushed aside, but nothing obviously stolen. It looked like someone was looking for something very specific. Now that I was really thinking about it, Mom had been acting strange for the past few weeks, coming home late from work with weak excuses about staying to help customers, taking phone calls in her car instead of inside the house, making trips to the grocery store that took 3 hours. I tried calling Dad one more time from our landline in case it was just a cell service issue. This time, he answered immediately on the first ring, and his voice sounded rough and exhausted like he hadn't slept at all. Alex, thank God you're okay. Are you and Katie safe? Did you get away from the house like I told you? I explained that we'd left but came back when Mom's car was gone and the house was empty. There was a long, terrifying pause, and when Dad spoke again, his voice was shaking with fear. You need to call 911 right now and get out of there immediately. Your mother isn't who we thought she was, and now, they know we figured it out. You need to call 911 right now and get out of there immediately. Your mother isn't who we thought she was, and now they know we figured it out. My blood turns to ice water in my veins. I grab Katie's arm, pulling her toward the door even as I try to make sense of Dad's words. Dad, what are you talking about? Who's they? What's going on with Mom? There's no time, Alex. Just call 911 and run. Don't use your phones after that. They might be tracking them. Meet me at the Riverside Motel, room 14. Go now. The line goes dead. Katie's eyes are wide with fear, her face pale in the harsh kitchen light. Alex, what's happening? We need to go, right now. I grab her hand and head for the back door, the same one with the muddy boot prints. Whatever's happening, we can't stay here. As we rush through the backyard, I hear sirens in the distance, growing louder. Someone must have called the police already, maybe a neighbor who noticed our front door standing open all morning. The wailing sound gets closer as we hop the fence into our neighbor's yard, cutting through to the street behind our house. Alex, I'm scared, Katie whispers as we duck between houses. Why can't we trust Mom? Where is she? I don't know. I admit, pulling her along, but Dad said to run, so we're running. We make it 4 blocks before I hear police cars racing past on the main road, heading toward our house. Katie is already out of breath, so we slow to a fast walk. My phone buzzes with a text from Dad, coordinates and a brief message. Abandoned hunting cabin. Safer than motel. Don't reply. Ditch phone soon. I show Katie the message, and she looks even more terrified. Alex, this is insane. Maybe we should just go to the police and tell them what? That Mom disappeared. Dad's telling us to run, and we have no idea what's going on. They'll just separate us and put us in foster care until they figure it out. I don't know if that's true, but it's enough to keep Katie moving. We need to get to the edge of town, but it's miles away, and we can't risk being seen on main roads. As we cut through a neighborhood park, I try to explain what little I know to Katie. Dad thinks Mom is involved with something dangerous. Those muddy boot prints in the kitchen weren't Dad's, and they weren't Mom's. Someone else was in our house, Katie. Someone looking for something. But why would Mom be involved with dangerous people? She works at a bank. The bank, the scattered files on the floor, Mom's strange behavior these past few weeks. It's starting to form a picture I don't want to see. We reach the highway that leads out of town. But there's no way we can walk the whole distance to the coordinates Dad sent. We need a ride, but we can't call anyone we know. As we stand at the gas station near the highway entrance, an elderly couple pulls up to fill their RV. Excuse me. I approach them with my most innocent smile. My sister and I missed the bus to visit our grandma in Millerton. Is there any chance you're heading that way? We could pay for gas. The woman looks sympathetic. Her husband skeptical. We're not going all the way to Millerton, but we can take you as far as Oak Ridge. It's not the direction we need, but it gets us out of town and buys us time. We climb into their RV, and I silently thank Mom for all those lectures about stranger danger while simultaneously ignoring everything she taught us. As we're pulling out of the gas station, I spot Mom's silver Honda parked at the far pump. My heart jumps into my throat. Katie, I whisper, nudging her. That's Mom's car. We both stare as we drive past. The car is empty, but as we round the corner, I notice two men in dark suits watching the gas station from a black SUV across the street. They don't look like police. They look like the kind of men who would leave muddy boot prints in someone's kitchen at 2 a.m. Alex. Katie's voice is barely audible. That man by the SUV, I've seen him before. Where? In a photo. In Mom's desk drawer. I was looking for stamps last month and found a folder with pictures. He was in one of them. The elderly couple drops us in Oak Ridge, and we thank them before heading straight for the woods that border the small town. We need to hide until nightfall, when we can move more safely. My phone battery is at 20%, and I know we need to ditch our phones soon, but I'm terrified of losing our only connection to Dad. As the sun sets, we huddle together under a large pine tree, shivering despite our jackets. My phone rings just after dark, an unknown number. Alex, it's Dad. I'm using a burner phone. Are you somewhere safe? We're hiding in the woods outside Oak Ridge. We saw Mom's car at a gas station, and these men in suits were watching it. Katie says she's seen one of them in a photo in Mom's desk. Dad's breathing sounds ragged. Listen carefully. Your mother works for people who will kill us if they find us. I'm coming to get you. Stay hidden and turn off your phones completely. I'll find you. The call ends, and Katie starts to cry silently. I wrap my arm around her, trying to be brave, even as terror wraps its cold fingers around my heart. Our mother, the woman who checked our homework and made us chicken soup when we were sick, is somehow involved with people who want us dead, and we have no idea why. We reach the coordinates Dad sent us just after midnight, following a narrow trail through dense woods. The cabin is barely visible in the darkness, a small, weathered structure that looks like it hasn't been used in years. Katie stays close behind me as I push open the creaking door, both of us jumping at every sound. Hello? I whisper into the darkness. No answer. I find an old lantern and matches on a shelf by the door. The weak light reveals a single room with a wood stove, a small table with 2 chairs, and a cot in the corner. Dust covers everything, but someone's been here recently. There's a backpack on the table and fresh boot prints on the floor. Is this where we're supposed to wait for Dad? Katie asks, her voice small and tired. She hasn't complained once during our trek through the woods, but I can see the fear etched across her face. Yeah, this is it. I set the lantern down and check the backpack. Inside are some energy bars, bottled water, and a first aid kit. At least we won't starve while we wait. Katie sits on the edge of the cot, hugging herself. Alex, what if Mom really is bad? What if she's been lying to us all this time? I don't know how to answer her. The mom I know bakes cookies for school fundraisers and cries during sad movies. She's not someone who'd be involved with dangerous people. But then I remember the scattered bank files, her strange behavior, those late-night grocery runs that took 3 hours. Before I can respond, we hear footsteps outside. Katie freezes, and I grab a rusted fireplace poker, positioning myself between her and the door. The footsteps stop, followed by 3 quick knocks, then 2 slow ones. Alex? Katie? It's me, Dad. Katie runs to the door as I unlock it. Dad stumbles in, his face pale and drawn. His right shoulder is soaked with blood, his shirt torn where a bullet grazed him. Oh my God, I gasp, helping him to a chair. What happened? You've been shot! I'm okay, he winces, easing into the seat. Just a graze. Had to make sure I wasn't followed. Katie's already digging through the first aid kit. I help Dad remove his jacket and shirt to examine the wound. It's not deep, but it's still bleeding. They were waiting for me at the house, Dad explains as I clean the wound with antiseptic wipes. I barely got out. They're professionals, Alex. Your mother's been working for a criminal organization for years. Katie's hands shake as she hands me gauze pads. That can't be true. Mom wouldn't do that. Dad reaches into his pocket with his good arm and pulls out a USB drive. I found this hidden in a false bottom of her jewelry box 2 days ago. That's when everything started making sense. Once I've bandaged Dad's shoulder, he plugs the USB drive into a laptop he pulls from his bag. The screen fills with spreadsheets and financial records, all from Mom's bank. She's been laundering money through the loan department, Dad explains, scrolling through the files. Millions of dollars for some organization. I don't know who they are, but they're dangerous. But why would she do this? I ask, trying to make sense of the numbers on the screen. Money? Power? Who knows? Dad sighs. I started suspecting something when my Denver trip got canceled last minute, but she still wanted me gone for those days. I came home early and found strange men in suits at our house. Your mother introduced them as bank auditors, but they didn't act like any auditors I've ever met. He clicks through more files, showing us encrypted documents labeled, The Operation. I couldn't crack these, but the timestamps match her late nights at work these past few months. Katie's been quiet, moving around the cabin while we talk. She suddenly calls from the corner. Alex, Dad, look what I found. She's holding a small black burner phone she discovered tucked under a loose floorboard. Dad takes it carefully, powering it on. The battery's almost dead, but there are several text messages. These are from your mother, he says, his voice tight. We crowd around to read them. They're watching me. Can't talk. Get the kids somewhere safe. Not what you think. They're making me do this. Run from them. Not safe. The last message was sent just hours ago. House compromised. Don't go back. Dad looks up, confusion crossing his face. What does she mean? Not what you think. I take the phone, reading the messages again. Dad, what if Mom's not working with these people willingly? What if they're forcing her somehow? Before he can answer, the laptop pings with a news alert. Dad clicks on it and we see aerial footage of our house, or what's left of it. The entire structure is engulfed in flames, fire trucks surrounding the property. Local authorities are investigating what appears to be arson at the residence. The reporter says, the homeowner, Diane Miller, has been reported missing, while her husband James Miller is wanted for questioning in connection with both the fire and his wife's disappearance. They're framing you, I whisper, watching the flames consume our home on the screen. Dad runs his hand through his hair, wincing as the movement pulls at his injured shoulder. They're covering their tracks, making it look like I did something to your mother. Katie points at the burner phone. But these messages, Mom says they're making me do this. What if she's not a criminal? What if she's a victim? The realization hits me like a physical blow. All this time we've been running from Mom, but what if we should have been running to her? What if she's in more danger than any of us? Dad, I say slowly. He stares at the phone, then back at the burning house on the screen. For the first time since this nightmare began, I see doubt creep into his eyes. If that's true, he says quietly, then your mother needs our help, and we have no idea where she is. The burner phone buzzes with one final message before the battery dies. Find me at the place where it all began. Come alone. I wake to a sound I can't immediately identify, a soft crunch of leaves outside the cabin. Katie and Dad are still asleep, Dad propped awkwardly in the chair to avoid pressure on his wounded shoulder. Katie curled up on the cot. The pale light of dawn filters through the dusty windows. There it is again. Footsteps, careful and measured, circling the cabin. I freeze, barely breathing, and reach for the fireplace poker I'd left beside me on the floor. The footsteps stop at the front door. 3 soft knocks. Dad, I whisper urgently, shaking his good shoulder. Someone's here. He jerks awake, immediately alert, his hand reaching for the gun he'd placed on the table. Katie stirs on the cot, blinking in confusion. Get behind me, Dad hisses, positioning himself between us and the door, his weapon raised. The door handle turns slowly, and we all hold our breath. Then a voice one I'd know anywhere calls softly through the door. James, kids, it's me, please, I'm alone. Mom. Dad's grip on the gun tightens. How did you find us? He calls back, voice tense. Katie's phone, she answers. I tracked it before you turned it off. Please, James, I can explain everything. Katie looks at me with wide eyes. Alex, she whispers, what do we do? Dad hesitates, then nods at me to open the door, keeping his gun trained on it. I unlock it and step back quickly. The door swings open, and there she stands, my mother, but not as I've ever seen her. Her normally perfect hair is tangled and dirty. Dark circles shadow her eyes, and her clothes are wrinkled and stained. She looks exhausted, desperate, and terrified all at once. Oh, thank God, she breathes, taking in the sight of us. Then her eyes land on Dad's bandaged shoulder, the gun in his hand. James, you're hurt. Don't come any closer, Dad warns, the gun unwavering. Explain, now. Mom's eyes fill with tears. I've been undercover FBI for 3 years. The words hang in the air between us, impossible and yet somehow making perfect sense. What? Dad's voice cracks. Mom takes a deep breath. I was recruited after the bank noticed discrepancies in some of our high-value accounts. I've been gathering evidence on a money laundering operation run by the Donovan Group. They've been using the bank to clean millions in drug money. Why didn't you tell us? I ask, my voice barely audible. I couldn't, for your protection. Mom's gaze shifts between us. If they'd suspected you knew anything, they would have killed all of you without hesitation. My handler insisted on complete separation between my work and my family life. Dad slowly lowers the gun, confusion replacing anger on his face. The files I found were part of my evidence collection. Mom takes a tentative step forward. James, I was trying to protect you all. Yesterday morning, someone at the bank tipped them off about my investigation. They came to the house while I was at work, searching for evidence. The muddy boot prints, Katie whispers. Mom nods. When I got home and saw them, I knew we'd been compromised. I tried to call my handler, but the line was dead. Then these men showed up, told me they knew I was FBI and that they had people watching our house, watching you and the kids. Her voice breaks. They said if I didn't help them destroy evidence and identify other agents, they would kill you all. I was trying to buy time, figure out how to warn you. The text messages, Dad says, realization dawning. Run from them, not run from me. Yes, Mom says, relief flooding her face. When I saw you'd taken my burner phone from its hiding place, I hoped you'd see the messages. I never thought you'd believe I was working for them. But I found your files, Dad argues. The spreadsheets showing money moving through shell companies. That was my evidence. Mom explains. I was documenting their entire operation. When you called me from Denver saying your meeting was canceled, I panicked. I'd scheduled a meeting with my handler for that day, and I couldn't have you coming home early. The pieces are falling into place. Katie moves toward Mom, but Dad puts out his arm, still not fully convinced. If you're really FBI, prove it. Mom reaches slowly into her pocket and pulls out a badge, handing it to Dad. He examines it, then looks up at her, his expression softening. Why didn't you trust me enough to tell me? He asks, his voice raw with hurt. It wasn't about trust, Mom says. It was protocol. The fewer people who knew, the safer everyone would be. I never imagined it would fall apart like this. I step forward. So what happens now? Before Mom can answer, her phone buzzes. She glances at it, her face paling. They found us. We have about 5 minutes. Who? Dad demands, raising the gun again. The Donovan group. They must have followed me. She turns to us, urgency in every line of her body. My handler and his team are on their way, but we need to hide until they get here. Dad's eyes narrow. How do we know this isn't a trap? James, Mom says, her voice breaking. I have never lied about loving you and our children. Everything else, the secrets, the late nights, that was the lie. Please, we don't have time for this. A tense moment passes between them. Years of trust tested in seconds. Then Dad nods. There's a cellar, he says, moving toward the wood stove. He pushes it aside, revealing a trapdoor. I found it last night while you were sleeping. We help Dad move the heavy stove, then lift the trapdoor. A narrow ladder descends into darkness. Mom goes first, then Katie. I follow, with Dad coming last, pulling the trapdoor closed above us. The cellar is small and damp, with dirt walls and a low ceiling. Dad clicks on a flashlight, casting eerie shadows around us. We huddle together in the cramped space, hardly daring to breathe. Above us, the cabin door crashes open. Heavy footsteps move across the floor, followed by low voices. Check everywhere. They can't have gone far. Katie buries her face against Mom's shoulder, and Mom holds her tightly, stroking her hair. Dad positions himself at the bottom of the ladder, gun ready, while I press myself against the dirt wall, heart hammering so loudly I'm certain they'll hear it. The footsteps move directly overhead, dust filtering down through the cracks in the trapdoor. Someone kicks what sounds like the wood stove. Nothing here, a gruff voice calls. Just some supplies. Keep looking, another voice orders. Thornton said they'd be here. Mom tenses at the name, and Dad shoots her a questioning look. She mouths, my boss at the bank, and Dad nods grimly. More footsteps, more searching. Minutes stretch into what feels like hours as we remain frozen in our hiding place. Then, suddenly, the sound of car engines outside, doors slamming, shouted commands. FBI, drop your weapons. Gunfire erupts above us, deafening even through the floor of the cabin. Katie whimpers, and I wrap my arm around her, pulling her close. Mom and Dad exchange glances, a silent communication passing between them. The firefight is brief but intense, then silence falls, broken only by footsteps and voices giving orders. Clear. Secure the perimeter. Agent Miller? Diane Miller? Are you here? Mom's head snaps up at her name. That's my handler, she whispers. She moves toward the ladder, but Dad stops her. Wait, he says. It could still be a trap. Mom hesitates, then calls up. Authentication code Echo 79 Bravo. A pause, then. Confirmed, Agent Miller. Area secure. Dad slowly lowers his gun, nodding at Mom. She climbs the ladder and pushes open the trapdoor. Light floods the cellar as we follow her up into the cabin. The interior is a disaster, furniture overturned, windows shattered, bullet holes peppering the walls. Standing in the center is a tall man in a bulletproof vest, with FBI emblazoned across the chest. Several agents secure men in dark suits, handcuffing them and leading them outside. Agent Miller, the man says, relief evident in his voice. When we lost contact, we feared the worst. Agent Reeves, Mom acknowledges. This is my family, my husband James, my children Alex and Katie. Reeves nods at us. Your mother is one of our best undercover operatives. She's been instrumental in building a case against one of the largest money laundering operations on the East Coast. Dad looks at Mom with new eyes, pride, confusion, and hurt all mingled together. You could have told me, he says quietly. I wanted to, she replies, taking his hand. Every day for 3 years, I wanted to. Outside, more vehicles arrive. Agent Reeves approaches us again. We need to get you all to a secure location. The Donovan group still has people out there, and you're all witnesses now. As we're escorted to a black SUV, I look back at the cabin, at the armed men being loaded into separate vehicles, at the forest that hid us for a night. Everything I thought I knew about my family has been turned upside down. Mom catches my eye as we climb into the SUV. I'm so sorry, Alex, she says softly. I never wanted any of this to touch you or Katie. Did you ever think about what would happen if they found out? I ask. About what it would do to us. Her eyes fill with tears. Every single day. But I also thought about what kind of world you'd live in if people like the Donovans operated unchecked. Sometimes we have to make impossible choices to protect the people we love. As the SUV pulls away, carrying us to whatever uncertain future awaits, I realize that maybe I don't know my mother at all, or maybe I'm just beginning to see who she really is for the first time. The gunfire stops as suddenly as it began. I'm still holding Katie, both of us pressed against the dirt wall of the cellar, when the trapdoor opens fully and light floods our hiding place. All clear, Agent Reeves calls down. We need to move quickly. Outside the cabin, the morning sun illuminates a scene that feels ripped from an action movie rather than our actual lives. FBI agents in tactical gear secure handcuffed men in dark suits, the same men who'd been hunting us. Mom walks beside Agent Reeves, speaking rapidly as Dad follows with his arm protectively around Katie. I trail behind, still trying to process everything that's happened in the last 24 hours. The operation's been compromised at every level, Reeves tells Mom as we approach a line of black SUVs. Thornton gave up your identity yesterday morning. We've been trying to locate you since then. Thornton? I ask, remembering Mom's boss at the bank. He was part of this? Mom turns to me, her expression grim. He was their inside man at the bank. He's been helping the Donovan group launder money for years. We're ushered into separate vehicles, Mom and Dad in one, Katie and I in another, with a female agent who introduces herself as Agent Chen. As we pull away from the cabin, I watch the place where our world turned upside down shrink in the rear window. Where are we going? Katie asks, her voice small. A secure facility, Agent Chen answers. You'll be safe there until we can arrange more permanent protection. Permanent protection? I echo. What does that mean? Chen glances at me in the rearview mirror. Witness protection. Most likely. Your mother's operation has exposed one of the largest money laundering networks on the East Coast. The people involved won't stop coming after you. Katie's hand finds mine, squeezing tightly. I try to look reassuring, but inside I'm reeling. Witness protection. New names, new home, new lives. Everything and everyone we've ever known gone. The secure facility turns out to be a nondescript government building outside the city. We're reunited with Mom and Dad in a conference room with no windows and too bright fluorescent lighting. Dad's shoulder has been properly treated by a doctor, and he sits with his arm in a sling, looking exhausted but alert. I've just been briefed on the full scope of your mother's operation, he tells us as we sit down. 3 years of undercover work. She's taken down the entire network. Mom looks uncomfortable with the praise. It wasn't supposed to end like this. My cover should have held for another month until the grand jury convened. What happens now? I ask. Agent Reeves enters with several folders. Now we keep you safe. The Donovan Group still has operatives we haven't identified. Until we can guarantee your security, you'll be entering witness protection. For how long? Katie asks. 6 months, minimum, Reeves says. Possibly longer, depending on how the trials progress. 6 months, half a year of our lives, gone. I think about my friends, my school, the college applications I was working on, all of it suspended indefinitely. You'll be relocated to Colorado, Reeves continues, opening one of the folders. New identities, new background stories. You'll need to memorize everything in these files. Dad takes the folder, flipping through pages of our new lives. I'll be running an insurance office? Similar to your current profession. To make the transition easier, Reeves explains, Mrs. Miller will be teaching economics at the local high school. Mom nods, but I can see the regret in her eyes. 3 years of deception, and now we're all paying the price. What about school? I ask. I'm supposed to graduate this year. You'll be enrolled in the local high school, Reeves says. Your transcripts will be transferred under your new name. Your sister will attend the middle school in the same district. The next few days pass in a blur of briefings, preparations, and goodbyes to a life we can no longer live. We're not allowed to contact anyone, not even to let them know we're safe. As far as the world is concerned, our house burned down under suspicious circumstances, and we've disappeared. 6 weeks later, we're the Anderson family in a small town nestled against the Rocky Mountains. Dad, now Robert Anderson, runs a small insurance agency in town. Mom Sarah Anderson teaches economics at the high school I attend as Michael Anderson. Katie, now Emma, has joined the middle school soccer team and seems to be adapting better than any of us. I struggle the most. Every friendship feels hollow when built on lies. I can't tell anyone who I really am, or why we moved here. I keep to myself, earning a reputation as the quiet new kid with trust issues. Which, to be fair, is completely accurate. It won't be forever. Mom tells me one night when she finds me staring at my phone, scrolling through social media accounts I can no longer access. Once the trials are over, we might be able to reconnect with some people and tell them what, I ask. That we've been lying to them for months? That we're not who they think we are? Mom sits beside me on my bed. I know something about living a double life. Michael, she catches herself, and we both wince at the slip. It's not easy, but sometimes it's necessary. Was it necessary to keep Dad in the dark for 3 years? The question comes out sharper than I intended. She's quiet for a moment. I ask myself that every day. I thought I was protecting you all, but maybe I was just following protocol without questioning it enough. She takes my hand. I never wanted this for you and Katie. I know. I sigh. I just miss everything. 4 months into our new lives, the trials begin. We watch news coverage from afar as the leaders of the Donovan Group face charges of money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy. We testify via secure video link, our faces obscured, our new location undisclosed. Dad's insurance business is doing well. He's made friends with other local business owners, joined the Chamber of Commerce. Mom has become a favorite teacher at the high school, her real-world experience making her economics classes unusually engaging. Katie Emma is thriving on her soccer team, making friends easily in that way that has always amazed me. And me? I'm slowly finding my footing. I joined the school newspaper, channeling my frustration into writing stories I can control, even if I can't control my own. I've made a few friends who don't push when I deflect questions about my past. 1 year after that terrifying night when Dad's text message changed everything, we received news that the last of the Donovan Group's leaders has been sentenced. The organization has been dismantled, its assets seized. Agent Reeves visits us in Colorado to deliver the news personally. You're still safer, maintaining your new identities, he tells us, but the immediate threat has passed. You can begin contacting extended family again, carefully. That night, Dad makes a call to his brother, our first connection to our old life in over a year. I watch his face as he explains as much as he can, which isn't much about where we've been and why we disappeared. There are tears, recriminations, then relief. Later, as we sit together in our living room, a family gathering that once would have seemed completely ordinary, I look at my mother, not Sarah Anderson, the economics teacher, but Diane Miller, the FBI agent who spent 3 years living a double life to bring down criminals. My mother, who made impossible choices to protect people she would never meet, as well as the people she loved most. Was it worth it? I ask her quietly while Dad and Katie argue good-naturedly about a board game. She considers the question seriously. The work itself? Yes. The cost to our family? She looks around at our new home, our new lives. That's harder to answer, but I hope someday you'll understand that sometimes the people who love you most have to keep secrets to keep you safe. I think about the text message that started it all, "Don't trust your mother," and how completely we misunderstood. Sometimes the truth is more complicated than trust or distrust. Sometimes people lie because the truth is too dangerous. As Katie drags me into their board game debate, I realize something has shifted in me. The anger and resentment I've been carrying are starting to fade, replaced by a strange kind of pride. My mother is a hero, even if no one will ever know it but us. My father found the strength to forgive the greatest deception imaginable. My sister adapted to a new life with resilience I'm still trying to match. And me? I'm learning that sometimes the people we think we know best are full of secrets. But maybe that's not always a bad thing. Maybe sometimes deception protects the people you love. And for now, in this small Colorado town with mountains outside our windows, we're finally safe.